bunch of misfits I ever said either.
Good morning, Misfits. You are tuning into a special edition Misfit podcast, Monday, March 16th. The Misfit affiliate Rushmore phase, brand new 7-week phase, gets started, and we're going to do a deep dive into what you can expect within the phase. As always, we will jump into a little bit of housekeeping, and then if you've missed Hunty, make sure you stay for the end of the episode where we put a little bit of live chat. What's up, Hunter?
Hey, what's up? How we doing? Forgot we were doing live chat at the end. Got me nervous for a second there.
Yeah, you got time. You got a little bit of time. Yeah, you're good. As always, this episode of the podcast is brought to you by Gorilla Mind. Best supplements in the game. You know, a previous version of me would have been selling you on all of their efficacious supplements that actually work. And then the small business owner, dad/nanny, keeps just talking about the energy drink here. So if you're a degenerate like me, there's a ton of nootropics in this energy drink. It works damn well. It makes it so that I can jump on this podcast and run my mouth for an hour or so. But they also have really good supplements, which is probably what most of you are interested in. So you can go to gorillamind.com/misfit or just use the code word misfit at checkout. You save a little bit of money and you support Misfit Athletics and the podcast. All of our program offerings, including Misfit Affiliate, all of our individual programs can be found at the link in bio on our Instagram. You can get a 2-week free trial for all of the stuff that we're about to talk about on Sugar WOD, Push Press, or StreamFit, or you can email me, coach@misfitathletics.com, and I will give you a 2-week sample of the PDF, which is what you would receive if you signed up on our website. You can also head to Sharpen the Axe code. Few pieces left there. If you want to support the show, you can get some Misfit gear. Maybe use the code word Paige. Paige gets a little bit of support, a little bit of dough there.
Word Hunty,
Also,
get charged 3x shipping.
Yes. Yeah. His code actually makes it worse. And this is for everybody, but also the gyms. If you guys want to communicate with us on a more regular basis, all of the emails going out related to this phase, to basically everything, if you're on our email list, has a link to get you into our free community on Telegram. So whether you're looking for, chopping it up for individual programming, the GPP program, Misfit Affiliate, all that stuff, make sure you get into Telegram. And then the actual piece of housekeeping here, CrossFit HQ will not let people add hashtags after the close of 26.1 this year. I don't know what the deal is with that. It definitely hasn't been that way in the past. So we are kicking it old school, you guys. I have a spreadsheet going and you can enter your information. But if you don't enter your name, your affiliate, and your scores, I probably won't take the time to go find you on the leaderboard and do all of that stuff. I will confirm that you actually exist and that you're not lying. It'd be really weird to lie about something like that. I don't know what the motivation would be. But if you want to shout out on our live podcast, if you want to get entered into a drawing for some free gear, make sure that you fill that out. That will be sent out via email. It'll be in Telegram. I'll probably post it on social media, all that good stuff. So I know we have a lot of people more on the Misfit affiliate side listening to this podcast, specifically whether you are an athlete, a coach, a gym owner. This leaderboard is a community thing. So if you follow any version of our program and want to be on there, please put your name in. Don't worry about what your scores actually are. All right. So we have, again, this 7-week phase, and I decided to name it Rushmore for a few different reasons. We are doing one benchmark every single week during this 7-week phase. And it made me think of the difference between testing things like open workouts, which honestly feel like you snap your fingers and they come and go. And it happens, but it's rare that we're going to repeat them, more than that second time. So the idea of the permanence of these benchmarks, like they're always there. Those workouts are always there, all the way back to, your classics, your Fran, your Helen workouts like that, all the way up to the new ones. Like I know Gretel is in this phase, isn't it, Hunter? That one's a real doozy. Yep. So just the idea of the permanence of the workouts is something we can always go back to. And we have our benchmarks, in the more general fitness community, your 1 mile run or your 400-meter run or your 2K row. But there's something special about, our versions of that as a CrossFit community. And honestly, it's cool to see the progression of them and how they've changed. You think about something like a Fran, and it just was like there was an alchemy to it of like, why is this so bad back in the day? And now it's like, can you yank the bar back down into your front rack to shave, 6 seconds off your Fran time? We had this conversation when someone asked if there should be an updated version of pennies because 15 years later or whatever it is, it's not the same kind of challenge. But the idea now that it's how fast can you run and still be unbroken is this amazing story. Like if I was going to rewrite it, I would write a different workout, like a completely different workout. I think it's been maybe an overemphasis on the muscle up in the sport. So I would probably choose, if I was going to do like a nasty monostructural gymnastics weightlifting, I would probably just write a different workout. So maybe I will do that and we'll add it in. But the idea of like, can you go out there and run, minute 20, minute 25, 400s while you're doing something like this is absolutely disgusting.
Hunter's almost
And
insulted
then
somebody said that.
I'm so disgusted.
I talked about you when the person
too easy.
Who said? Wait. So is there a real story to this? Someone say it was too like the pennies is too easy that it needs to be updated.
I don't know if I teed it up. I don't remember. Oh no, someone guessed that pennies was 26.2. I think, and it was like that would be sweet.
That would be sick.
But it was like, okay, and I talked about the progression and how it's a completely different workout now than it was in 2011, right? And so they were like, okay, should it be updated? Like, what do you think? And it was like, no, that's what's awesome about this. That's what was awesome about Helen at the games.
Yeah.
It's like, let's see where those margins are really at. And I did always bring up Hunter's secret strategy for Austin of have you tried trying harder? To which Austin
I did tell Mark to fucking do that in order to open the door to the gym. Austin, that blew Austin's fucking brain out of the back of his skull.
It did.
I don't know if he's recovered.
No, I don't think he has. Also, the idea of what is your Mount Rushmore? What is the specific athletes? So there's 7 benchmarks that are going to be in here. Which 4 of them is the athlete locked in on? And are they locked in on them because they're like, shit, I'm going to die? Or hell yeah, I'm going to be like at the top of the leaderboard? Because I think what's cool about what we do is you have, 100 to 200 to 300 people looking at this workout within your gym, and they all feel different about what it is. It's a completely different experience for all of those people. There's got to be a meathead out there who's circling CrossFit Total. It's like, listen, I might be 1 in 6 across these 7 weeks, but I'm taking my victory. And then we obviously have things that are built in there that are the exact opposite. And last but not least, the anecdote for passing through the open. Again, it just is the snap of a finger. You train 40 some weeks out of the year, and then 3 weeks you've got your open, and then it's gone. And it often lights a little fire for certain people while they're doing it. They're like, damn, like I could train a little bit harder next year, or I could make sure that I show up on the days that we're doing the things that I don't like and actually be better. And the anecdote to that isn't some like secret sauce. It's short, medium, and long couplets, triplets, high intensity. Like that's what it is. Obviously we need to get stronger. We need to get more skilled, but GPP is what raises all of that stuff up together. So I think GPP, like I need a 4th letter. The Mount Rushmore is just GPP. You can put the categories up there if you want. It's, it's monostructural gymnastics, weightlifting, whatever.
Tech. I go to GPP Tech.
Yes, GPP Tech. So that's where the name came from. I have a fun little AI created graphic for who's on the Rushmore. So you guys get a little teaser for when the advertisement drops. So yeah, before we get into it, I don't know if you guys have any comments related to that. That's obviously my world of spinning some yarn and getting people excited about what we're about to do.
think I thought the Rushmore name idea was super cool. It's honestly like I've thought about this a little bit with the Open, that being just this time of year where it's like you encourage people for a number of reasons. You encourage people to do the Open, one of which, like me, I'm less of a like, but it's so much fun, guys. You're gonna have like the best time ever sort of thing. It's like, I don't give a fuck about that. I want you to
Paige and I thought
have
that's
like,
what you were thinking. So it's good that you
yeah, I
clarified
definitely,
that.
it is. It's so
Exactly.
much fun. It's such a, no, it is fun. It's type 2 fun, obviously, for sure. But it's more like, we use benchmarks, and we use essentially for the general population that is like non semifinals and CrossFit Games athletes, the Open and our benchmarks are the Rushmores, right? Those are the things that we have to measure, like kind of that low trajectory to a distant horizon concept off of. Like, am I actually getting stronger, fitter? The 1 rep maxes are a little bit more obvious, but for athletes, it's like, we used to do programming where it was like, we do a conditioning test in week 1 and then we repeat it in week 7. And like, we didn't actually it's not that we didn't train for it, but we didn't you can get better at a thing just by because you know how to do it. The real question is like, did you get better at the thing over a long enough period of time such that it's obvious that your GPP has gotten better? It wasn't just like, oh, I just did a better strategy 7 weeks later. Because realistically, unless you're pretty new to CrossFit, you're not going to make wildly massive progress across 7 weeks in a 15-minute AMRAP. It's just not going to happen. Maybe a year or so, you could see some significant change from a physiological perspective. But in a short period of time, it's more like, are you just a little bit smarter than last time? The benchmarks, and part of the reason we kind of did away with that, test week 1, retest week 7 with a very specific conditioning piece, is because I would rather sprinkle these benchmarks in throughout the year, and maybe we start to think about including things like old Open workouts as benchmarks, because eventually benchmarks do age and some of them aren't as relevant as they used to be, but there are plenty of them that are perfectly relevant. And maybe benchmarks that were out of pennies is a perfect example, right? It's like, when that got written 10 years ago or whatever, it was like, I put up a 17-minute time. It's like, you probably should have scaled that, by good affiliate standards. But over time, that time kept coming down until it was actually appropriate. And for a lot of affiliate athletes, it is like, that's Fran. It's like, yeah, I just wasn't physically strong enough to do 45 thrusters at 95 pounds. So it wasn't even relevant for me at the beginning. But now that I've been doing this for 3 or 4 years, now Fran is that really shitty workout for me that it was for a games athlete 10 years ago, right? And now, like you said, you got Trista Smith doing weapons grade Fran and whatever she, a minute and change. And it's
Yep.
it's a different thing for different people now, but the kind of theme remains the same, right? It's like, you have to have these goalposts that don't move, that instead you kind of move around them. So I think it's a good name for the phase. And I think I think it'll be a fun phase for people. And a lot of these benchmarks are honestly probably going to be the first time people have done these as well. So getting a time on the board for a benchmark that can be retested later on.
Yeah.
I'm going to do workouts that I've never done before, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah. I kind of like the perspective too of you do an Open repeat workout and you see, okay, I was 55th percentile in 2017 and all of a sudden I'm 88th percentile in 2024. You can also see it obviously, comparing to other people, but if you're going from such a low percentage in the world to such a high percentage, I think that's also relevant to your level of fitness, that you are getting much better. And if you can kind of take that perspective into these benchmarks, I think that mentally gives you something to reach towards, because obviously the Open is you put all the hype around it. People want to see themselves on the leaderboard, and don't always feel the same way about a benchmark on a random Tuesday, But I really like the idea of not repeating at the end of the phase and having more time in between them, because you do see that GPP really come into play of wow, I really have gotten fitter. So I do like the idea of that with this phase.
I think kind of that for that exact reason, Paige, is like a good reason that benchmarks done like further apart is valuable, because it's
Right.
like the open does, like, everybody's got that the one lift for like, man, that one day it all came together and I've never hit that one rep max ever since then. And it was like, maybe it was in a competition, maybe it was just the environment, the adrenaline was there, it was in the open or whatever, and like you've never been able to replicate that. It's like that's not a great indicator of your like overall average fitness, right? A great indicator of your overall average fitness is when Gretel is on a random Thursday and it's like, what, like, can you beat your old time? Like, when maybe it's not like, I don't need you to get like amped up like
Stars
on
aligned
500
and
milligrams of caffeine before every single CrossFit workout. That's not the point, right?
yeah.
I know you're saying that. It's like, can you come in like that? I think that's a better indicator of my fitness. Like, did I come in, I do my normal thing, it's Thursday, and I happen to get faster? It's like, oh, sick. You didn't need that crazy adrenaline, the person that you're racing. It's like, you didn't need that because like your fitness level has like legitimately gone up. It wasn't like, yeah, I kind of half-assed it a year ago, and this year I had the, 8 cups of coffee, my best friend racing against me. Decided to set my hair on fire. It's like, those are almost two different things. Like,
Right.
come in
Yeah.
on
And
Tuesday, did you beat your time? Like, great, you're fitter.
context is everything in this conversation, because I swim in the waters of the competitive world so much that I have to remind myself that the reason we retest so close together as competitors is athlete IQ more than anything. Like, you're figuring these things out. And of course, you can make more progress over 9 weeks when you're doing 3 or 4 pieces a day, something like that. But still, at the same time, it's very much for that reason, which is why I love phase 0 so much, because there is that full year to come back around and we get these narratives of things maybe didn't go exactly the way that we wanted to, or I had an injury that, took me out for a period of time or whatever it is. And then we come back around and Telegram is just PR, PR, PR on all of these things. And it helps set people up to know, like, hey, the body of work is this whole year, or maybe even 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, however long you've been with us. And that's the amount of time that it really takes to make these changes. And at the affiliate level, we have to remember what we're trying to accomplish here, right? Like, we are trying to make sure that this person is making, physiological changes where they can do what they want to do when they get older, where their blood markers change, where they, get the, sense of community that a human being needs by showing up. And I think in the realm of the open and quarterfinals happening within a gym, I don't want to say that we forget it, because some people really are bought into that, but we need these reminders. We need the reminders of, like, we know how to get people fitter, and we don't always have to sell like a gimmicky, shiny object to get them fitter. Just got to coach well and write good workouts and make sure people show up and go hard, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's talk about the heavy days within this phase. So if you are new to Misfit Affiliate or considering joining, you are going to see essentially a lift-only day every other week. And the majority of our lift-only days are pretty standard percentage work. And like, sometimes we've got some tricks of the trade where, like, for instance, I think the first deadlift day has maybe some built-in warm-up to it, right? Like, we know that we can get some sets in there that actually force people to prepare. And I'm not saying that they're not working sets, but they're not like the whole point of the session. But if somebody goes in and does, 11 at 50, 11 reps at 50%, something like that, you can get pretty warm, right? Like, we're going to get warmed up. We're going to start moving the way that we want to. So that is going to be every other week. And then the in-between weeks, there are going to be GPP lifts before conditioning. And GPP, again, I don't know if we need a different term. I wonder how many people Google it every time we talk. General physical preparedness, all of it, the whole thing, the strength, the endurance, the skill. Just, we want all of it to rise up
Man,
together.
if you're in CrossFit, if you're listening to a CrossFit podcast, you don't know what GPP is. got to go back to some of the original texts and
Yes,
read,
it's
do
true.
a little
The
reading.
tablets. You got to go back to the tablets. So GPP lifts, what we're looking for there is a rotation of different actual lifts, different modalities, and then a rotation of stimulus. So you'll see build up to a heavy single or a double or a triple. We've got some cool like max rep sets at a certain percentage. We have some deadlift work that I would consider a little bit more like positional, like really teaching people leg drive by having a deficit potentially. So we are rotating through all of the different ways that you can move the needle through weightlifting while in other lifts there. My question for you guys is, I personally believe the longer I do this, and it's probably, we're closing in here, 2 months, your boy's going to be 40. I think
Shit.
lift only days are not only an opportunity to truly focus on getting stronger and teaching people how to move safely and move efficiently, but also potentially a way to keep people in your gym across a whole week and have them recover better, and which leads to more longevity, and strength leads to longevity, obviously. But I'd like to know you guys' opinion on this, because I'm not trying to fully shoot myself in the foot and saying, like, because I know it can be dangerous from like a sales perspective, how many subscriptions you're going to sell when you're like, hey, it's not just we want to teach a lift on this day. It's like a lot of people like to come to the gym every day. And if you beat the absolute shit out of them every day, you're going to have more injuries in your gym. They're not going to be as fit. Your membership retention isn't going to be as high. So I'm interested to hear what you guys' opinion is on that.
Yeah, I mean, I could even talk from a competitor's perspective of like when it's time for me to take some time off. I love when my sheet says go do a lift and maybe get on a bike between sets, or, walk around a little bit. Like, just there's intensity in what you're doing, but there's also low intensity around it for the rest of the day. And like, just the way that hits the nervous system is refreshing. Like, it's, you come in for the next day and you just feel really, really good and ready to get back into the intensity, like a high intensity Metcon or something like that. So as far as affiliate programming GPP, I love it. I mean, you still get real sweaty, you get warmed up, you activate. If you have a good coach, which we fill up the hour, like you're gonna get a very productive hour with just that lifting session.
Yeah, I think of it. I think there's a couple ways to think about it. One of which would be like, well, what's the alternative? And the alternative would like at most be, so I asked Nicole about this at Roots, and Nicole Christensen. I was like, do you guys like, and what are your general thoughts as an experienced coach on like doing a weekly day that is lift only versus what I believe is, and I think is still in like the L1 manual, it's like one every 10 days. So the alternative being like a less frequent lift only day. And we talked about it and whatnot. And I think part of it is like, so if the alternative is less frequent and you get an affiliate athlete who misses that already infrequent lifting day, are they, one, never getting like a true strength stimulus? And then the other element that's really good, there's the recovery portion for sure, where it's like, I just can't beat the piss out of everybody for 5 straight days, 6, 7, if you've got some crazies out there. But like, also, how often does the athlete get the chance to work on a complex lift where they're not worried about breathing hard? The implication with the heavy day is obviously that there's enough loading in order to elicit a strength stimulus, but like, there's also hopefully a coach and just the general, like the IQ of the athlete to say like, hey, I'm moving really poorly. I shouldn't be lifting this heavy with like, with poor mechanics. So it's like, it's also kind of one of those days where we can, as coaches, slow things down and be like, hey, athlete, like you're lifting really well here. Like you're deadlifting really well here. Like we need to take this into the next deadlift run burpee Metcon where you're going to say, my back hurts so bad because it's like, well, the real answer is because you're deadlifting too fast for your mechanics, right? You're passing the threshold of like, you're moving well, you're not getting the benefit anymore, you're actually injuring yourself. Like, let's go back to Tuesday, March 17th, when we were doing a smooth, really nice set of 11 at 50% and things were moving well. You were warm. You like understood the concept of hinging properly, whatever. So the lift only days kind of give give the coach and the athlete an opportunity to slow things down and say like, hey, let's actually like really focus on the technical aspect. You've got a whole range of athletes. The proficient ones can actually go heavy and get a real strength stimulus. The less conditioned athletes, like, well, we can work on the movement. And for the most part, that athlete needs to spend time learning how to do a barbell lift. And like maybe they're not getting a crazy strength stimulus because they're not fit enough to lift heavy enough, but they're like, okay, that person's not going to be fit enough to lift heavy enough in the Metcon tomorrow. So let's take this opportunity to work on really sound mechanics at kind of a light, moderate weight. And then that feeds the GPP monster, right? It's like, hey, you deadlifted really well when we did that lift only day. Let's take that into today's Diane or the Metcon or whatever it happens to be. So I think in addition to everything that you both said, like there is a an opportunity like to practice and train kind of like the neurological side of things, like get the coordination, learn how to do the lift properly. Don't just kind of half-ass through the general warm-up, put the weight on the bar and it's 3, 2, 1 off, for 60 reps. And it's like, fuck, it's hard. It's really hard to get better at a lift when your heart rate's at 180.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously agree. I try to make sure that when we talk about this stuff, that the perspective maybe doesn't change every time, but it's at least in a rotation, because we can obviously give you 30 minutes on the efficacy of the lift only day as a programming element in and of itself, not just the idea that the other stuff around it needs space to breathe, that we want, to really buy into that super compensation, and not always just be, dug down deep in the dirt. Like, lifting dedicated sessions to lifting weights is going to get you better at lifting weights. Like that's about as obvious as it gets there. So I just think that continuing to have those perspectives delivered from different angles can help the coach buy in. And I think if the coach buys in, there is a much higher likelihood of them being able to teach it and sell it and build the narrative within their community. Because we've had like program hopping gyms come to us and they're just bouncing around to different programs all the time. And there's a bit of the inmates running the asylum situation. And they're like, well, we don't know. Ask Misfit. And it's like, oh no, that's not good. That's not good. Like you got to believe in what we're doing here, that sort of thing. So I think it's important for us to continue to build that narrative and give people ways to talk to their members and let them know why we're doing it.
Yeah, I was going to say that buy-in element's super important. Because how many, like we occasionally get it from athletes, like, I like the programming, but I just feel like I don't get anything out of the gym when I come for the lift only day. And I'm just like, on the one hand, like come here, you, like shut the door behind you, like, we're gonna have a conversation. But the other hand, it's like, well, if someone doesn't know this, then like I clearly haven't, like there's been a failure at some point to educate this person on why it's really important. And if they say like, nope, I totally understand why it's important, I just don't want to do it, it's like, okay, fine, like got it. But if it's just purely like a lack of education thing, like absolutely, coaches, like here we just talked about 5 or 6 reasons why those days are valuable, why they show up as often or as infrequently as they do, depending on how you think about it and what you like to do. But you gotta be able to communicate that to your athletes and at least tell them why, whether or not they accept it or not is.
Well, and we've talked about it before, like you do the member survey and you finally reach the point where you have a well-rounded program where the complaints spread out to basically everything that you do, instead of 10 complaints on one thing that you do, which might be cause for like, let's correct this. It's 10 separate complaints on 10 separate things.
Yeah.
And I should say that the other side of that is when people talk about the things they like about the gym, it's the same 10 things. So it's basically like, oh, well, if you wrote the program specifically for me, and me making sure that I never take my medicine, then I would like you to stop doing this. All right. I don't know that we've ever referred to, what do you call it gymnastic strength, Hunter? Like what do we refer to as like, it's in the strength column, we're doing the thing there. Like it's funny.
Skill, gymnastics, capacity.
Sure.
I don't have a good name for it. I just
Yep.
tell people
All
what
right.
they're going to do at the whiteboard.
Yeah. So dedicated gymnastics strength work, skill work, capacity work is in there every other week. In the in-between weeks, we have an emphasis on high-skilled gymnastics under fatigue. So in workouts, basically. So you'll do a dedicated handstand walking workout, and then the next week, say there'll be ring muscle ups and a Metcon, and then the week after, you'll do a dedicated session where there's chest to bar pull-ups, and we just keep going through that rotation there. One cool coaching challenge and conundrum here that I'd like you guys to talk through a little bit is when we have that standalone session where we're just working on our handstand walking, there's always going to be a conditioning piece after it. So the insinuation would be, okay, we're working on this by itself. We really got to kind of dig into a skill progression. We're going to really develop this thing, but it's on the day that has two things. So we don't have as much space within the hour. Then we go to the other style where you might have a 10-minute AMRAP that's got muscle ups in it. It is your thing for the day, and you have a lot of room to work on the muscle up. So I guess, how do you think about those differently? Obviously, there's a ton of nuance in what's actually programmed within the day. But like, if you were to look at the day with the chest to bar or the day with the handstand walking, how do you think about, okay, I really want to teach this thing. We are doing skill work today, but we've also got a Metcon.
So for listeners, understand that when we have those days that are two separate pieces, it's usually a short gymnastics thing and then a short Metcon. I always try to make the Metcon one that is super easy to warm up as a result of like having done the gymnastics before, whether that means it's like a similar movement pattern or in a lot of instances, it's just a, the Metcon just consists of movements that are not particularly complex and super easy to scale and modify. And it's fairly like, it's kind of the bus kind of drives itself, so to speak, because for the exact reason that you said, it's like, well, we probably can't teach everything. So like, let's try to focus on a thing to teach. So on the days that there's the gymnastics, like the standalone piece, it's tough. The gymnastics stuff in particular is tough because like just because it's in a standalone piece versus a Metcon doesn't change anything about an athlete or a class's capacity to do the movement.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
whether there's handstand walking in the skill work or handstand walking in a shitty Metcon, like the person is not going to like, it's like, I'm going to do a bunch of handstand walking in the skill, but I'm going to do no handstand walking in the Metcon. Like that athlete doesn't kind of exists, but not really. It's like just because it's in one place or another doesn't change the athlete's capacity. The skill portion, like having it as a standalone thing, basically affords broadly two athletes two different things. Athlete number one, I actually can do the skill, and in order to get better at the skill, I need to develop capacity in the skill, so I need to practice it. I can handstand walk. I just need a dedicated day and a time to practice where the coach says, like, this is what we're focusing on. Perfect. Like that athlete, all set. We got you taken care of. Other athlete, I can't handstand walk, and like I can barely handstand walk. This is in a skill piece. I certainly can't handstand walk when it's in a Metcon. What do? It's like, well, you can go two routes. We can certainly practice handstand walking because that's what the skill session is dedicated for. It's the opportunity to practice something that you might not do in a Metcon, or which is why we often provide options. It's like the underlying reason that you can't do this skill, more often a gymnastics movement, is one of two things. You either don't have the requisite like body weight strength. Handstand walk's a little unique because that's a bit more of a skill than a fitness sort of thing. But like take the chest to bar pull up, for example. It's like, okay, you don't have the strength to do chest to bar pull-ups, right? Because if you had the strength to do strict pull-ups, then we could easily work on the kipping component and treat that more like a skill. But if you don't have any strict pull-ups, it's like, well, the answer is pretty obvious. Like, we're not going to dedicate time to practicing kipping if you can't do the base movement. So now this is now a dedicated, essentially it's now a lifting session just with your body weight. And then that opens up the conversation for things like, hey, like, how's your nutrition? Like, you want to get these gymnastics movements? Like, let's talk about body fat percentage and all that sort of stuff. So I think of like, even though those are standalone pieces, like the gymnastics versus like the example you gave where it's in a Metcon, on a Metcon day, I'm thinking more about like, hey, I want to go through a warm up that ensures that everybody's warm. If there's a little bit of skill development for the athletes who aren't going to do muscle ups in here, fantastic. But for the most part, like, we're just going to say like, hey, after we do a little bit of strength and skill work in the warm up, like, your movement is burpee pull-ups. Like, we're not going to swing around on the rings for a minute and then move on to the next thing. Like, this is a conditioning piece, not a gymnastics skill. So we are going to scale and modify your version of the workout to be in line with, this is a
Right.
Metcon, not a gymnastics skill. So
Yeah.
I think it's more just kind of like how a coach might view scaling and modifying for athletes in order to get the most out of that day for the specific individual, is how I
Right.
kind of think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with the, like, when it's a skill on its own, it's like I'm thinking of every scaled version of it because, again, you're going to have a class with every skill level in there. So it's
Yeah.
like I want to make sure I bring attention to every member in that class for that day. And when it's in a Metcon, like in a conditioning piece, like I'm going to take the other movements. So, like, for example, week 2, can I spoil it for everybody on what the movements are?
Sure.
Is that okay? All right.
Fuck them up. Oh, yeah.
It's muscle ups, box jump overs, and dumbbell snatch. So like I'm making sure that like we touch on the dumbbell snatch and the box jump overs first. They're kind of low barrier to entry as far as teaching movements. And then I'm going to spend whatever window of time I have left going over the muscle up. And I'm thinking of all the skill levels of people that I have in class that day. So I just want to make sure that I'm able to bring attention to all the members and not just those that maybe have a muscle up or maybe, are decent at them. Like I want to think of the people that also don't have them at all.
Yeah, I think that then there's a difference as well, because this is, again, like a bit of a programming thing. So to your point, that Wednesday Metcon, muscle up, box jump over, dumbbell snatch, what you just said is like, maybe even we do like some jumping and some hinging with a dumbbell in the general warm up. And it's like, okay, I don't need to spend 5-6 minutes on a breakout group with the dumbbell snatch, right? Like, I obviously make sure people are moving well, but that doesn't take a lot of time. I get the other movements generally warm, then we all focus on the muscle ups, but like, it's a 14-minute Metcon. I could pretty easily, if I wanted to, write EMOM 5 minutes, 2 muscle ups in like the gymnastic, in the strength column. The problem is now it appears that there are 2 things that need to happen within the class. And all of a sudden it's like, well, now my timeline just got all fucked up because I have this thing that's like, I have to do this 5-minute EMOM, when it's like, no, you don't. Just warm up the dumbbell snatch, warm up the box jump, and then bring everybody over and let's do a muscle up progression that involves as many people as possible. Maybe we get some boxes out and do some jumping muscle ups for people who like don't have them quite yet. And then it's like, okay, guys, hey, if you don't have muscle ups, you're doing burpee pull ups straight up. If you need like an in between scaling option, come talk to me. Otherwise, like, this is a Metcon, not a gymnastics session that we're about to do. So some of it is like literally the optics of like, if I'm a coach and I see a 5-minute EMOM and then a 14-minute AMRAP, I'm like, fuck, like that's a lot of shit. It's like, no, I mean, like, well,
Watching people exercise.
Yeah, exactly. Just put the Metcon, like, just sneak it in your brain as like, okay, we're just going to like work on the muscle up before we start this Metcon. So I think it just like, a lot of it has to literally do with like how the coach thinks about running a 2-part class logistically versus a 1-part class. So,
and you guys can
that
see, yeah, you guys can see how we're thinking about it in the way that it's programmed. So that first week there, all of those options and all of that leveling is actually laid out in the workout itself. So option 1, EMOM 10 minutes, handstand walk for distance. Choose a distance between 10 and 50 feet and aim to complete the same distance each minute. So that's a huge range right there of how much you're going to be doing, and make sure people know how to do math or do it for them, because they might think 50-foot handstand walk, that's easy. And it's like, well, that's 50 times 10. And then we have option 2, EMOM 10 minutes, wall walk or handstand holds. So we've got choosing a number of wall walks or a handstand hold duration. That's like 5 to 30 seconds. And we're going to repeat that on the minute. To me, whether that was programmed that way or not, I would need to have the spectrum that you guys referenced in my head before class, not in the moment of if the skill goes from 5-second handstand hold to 500 feet of handstand walking, and I need to go talk to 17 people and find their spot, that's probably not going to work very well, right? So that whiteboard
Sure.
brief of like, here's what we're looking for, here's what we're going for. And then that way everyone can get work related to actual capacity. Then we go to that other day and I'm thinking about like, how can I fine tune the way this person moves on the, the far end of the spectrum all the way down to how can I show someone their very first baby steps to one day getting over the rings, having their chin over their bar, having the chest touch the bar, that sort of thing. I mean, you guys obviously know I'll spend 12 and a half hours straight at a camp, but I love a group wide progression where everyone's seeing, you got tons of monkey see, monkey do, like, wow, look at the way that person moves. And like, you sort of work through these things and you give someone a roadmap to get to that point. And that's more on those days, to me, that's a skill session where we're working on skill and then the scale of what you do is less relevant. Basically, it's like we're trying to get a good workout and you now have, some breadcrumbs to your muscle up, your rope climb, whatever it is. All right. Conditioning, the bread and the butter, most of your GPP. Hunter, I have a theory on how you chose these benchmarks over the course of the phase, but I'd like to know how you thought about it when you were putting them together.
Do you want to share your theory first?
It just looks like you took the time to almost create like a benchmark program. Like it's this duration, it's this stimulus, it's this many movements, it's this many movements. Like it is a program within a program is what it looks like when I read down through all of them.
I thought you were going to make it
accurate.
Sound way more intricate than I was like, well, I got bad news, man. I didn't think I did not think, but
good.
No, I mean, a lot of it, like, I would say that the number one tied for first place is I have a tracker that has all of the benchmarks that we've, like, I don't want to say ever done, but like I went back pretty far and found like when we programmed XYZ last, and I have a tracker. So if something hasn't popped up in the last couple of years, like that's an early candidate to get populated in here. After that, it was definitely trying to like, let's try to make sure that we're not repeating a shitload of movements from benchmark to benchmark. Like, we've got even a day where it was like Gretel, which is clean and jerk, bar facing burpee. And then later on, the very end of the phase, we have Glenn, the hero workout, which is 30 clean and jerks, also at 135. It's like, this is such a different stimulus, but a lot of these benchmarks have overlap in movements. There's a lot of 95, 65 pound barbells in benchmarks, that sort of thing. So it was definitely, once we found a handful of workouts that haven't been done or that are such good tests that should be done like somewhat more frequently, let's try to identify those. And then from there, definitely try to like, let's make sure every benchmark isn't 2 to 6 minutes long, right? Let's try to find variance within the benchmarks so that, because like if every week has a long, shitty benchmark in it, then that also limits, that pigeonholes kind of the rest of the week. It's like, well, we're probably not going to get a super long piece on another day this week if we've got a benchmark on fucking Wednesday that's 25 minutes long. So yeah, you were pretty much right on. Make sure we get workouts that haven't been hit in a while, and then do my best to spread out the stimulus, the movement patterns, the time domains, make sure not every one is 100 rep at a time chipper, that sort of thing. So
that's peak Hunter. He says he doesn't think about it very much and then lists out the like 9 pieces of criteria he used.
Part of me is like, I don't think that's not, is that like overthink? Is that like thinking about it? Or I feel like that's just logically assessing like how should we plug these benchmarks in?
It's logical with the information and job history that you have, yes. I don't know that all of that nuance is logical for someone who is following the program that's a little bit more into the coaching side than the programming side.
Fair enough.
So yeah, we've got a benchmark every week. There are, When 26.1 was announced, I was like, is there enough space between 26.1 and April
Yes.
3rd?
Yes. Yeah. I thought about that too. I was like, well, at least everybody's
Honestly,
got a
though,
fucking
it's a lot easier. I
Karen?
shouldn't say that. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can confirm.
Yeah. So we've got some. I also think it's cool because there are some classics in there. There are some new ones in there. We've got CrossFit Total in there, which is always fun. Man, CrossFit, that just takes me back. That takes me way back. I was thought of as the like genetic freak of the century when I did a 300-pound maybe to depth squat in front of a couple of people who waxed me in Metcons every single day, but it was like, watch this shit.
300.
300 pounds. I wonder if anybody out there can lift 300 pounds these days.
I doubt it.
Any
Only
highlights?
Like 5 or 6 women at the gym.
Is there anyone that you are looking forward to the most, Hunter? Either coaching, executing. Nancy is terrible, by the way. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
That workout is so bad.
Nancy was the one that we did that. I mean, it wasn't even that recently, but it was like, yeah, that's still a good one. 5 by 400. I think mostly just because I've never done it before. I'm looking forward to Andy, the new girl, the Angie equivalent, like the barbell only equivalent. It's also at the very, very bottom of your sheet.
45 pounds for women is wild.
65.5. I tried to program a Misfit Athletics workout a while ago with 65.45, and Drew wouldn't have it. So
it would probably
I showed him.
blast people.
Right. Yeah. This is like the what is it? Was it the Air Force WOD, but without the doom loop? That's how I see this.
It's Angie. It's the
yeah.
I'm not. I don't know how much I'm looking forward to it. To like actually like.
Sure.
I don't like hang power snatch. I don't like push pressing. I hate sumo deadlift, high pulls, front squats are fine, but like I've never done the workout before, and like it's not going to be easy, that's for sure. So I'm looking forward to that one. I don't know if I've ever done Glenn.
I haven't.
That hero workout. I was trying to find a good hero workout that wasn't a total like volume beatdown. It's
like just enough of each movement at each time.
Yeah.
What was that comment page?
It's just enough of each movement at a time.
Yeah, that final
where it's just like it pisses you off. Yeah.
Just enough.
I'm here to represent the normies. All right. I'm the third person on this podcast that thinks that 100 burpees at the end of a 30-minute workout might be more than just enough. Yeah. Yeah, I got you guys.
We do have putting Angie on week 1, day 1. I felt like I had to do that because it was just a body weight one. Good, like reset to like, it's like, oh yeah, like, I know everybody, you were all looking forward to your muscle ups and your heavy barbell in the open. It's like, put it away.
Yeah.
Do your squats, do your sit ups, do your push ups. I'm curious to see how I think the sit ups are going to be the shittiest part.
You got to
Might be the first
call
time
Gabe. Call Gabe and get him into the gym. This was Gabe's favorite workout back in the day. I don't know that it's still his favorite workout.
Bro, I'm watching his squat depth, okay? I'm watching it.
We were watching it and
yeah. You had to watch it for that whole 5-year span.
Yeah.
Gabe's definitely listening.
All right.
But yeah, I like those.
And we are going to finish the conditioning conversation with more GPP propaganda. Just the idea of selling the narrative at the affiliate level versus a traditional phase where the narrative itself is you're going to get better at back squatting, or you're going to get better at rowing, or you're going to get better at your pulling gymnastics, that sort of thing, and get people to understand that you have the opportunity to get the most fit during a phase like this. Because it's, again, just are relying so heavily on variance and showing up. And what happens internally when you do this mix of movements in these different time domains, if in these different styles of structures. You've got high rep, where you're kind of stuck somewhere. You've got low rep where you're repeating over and over. And when you have the freedom to deliver that level of variance, when you know how to write good workouts, that's when you are going to get the fittest. It's why at the competitive level, we write programming like this as competition prep, right? Like, it's time for stimulus. This is the time to go do that. And I just think that being able to sell to your members, show up, buy into the concept, go hard, and the fittest version of you will appear out the other side. Being able to convince your athletes to do that for 7 weeks is incredibly important, because at the end of the day, like Hunter said at the beginning, if we zoom way out, that's the only thing that we're doing, right? Like, we want to get you guys excited about different phases and, getting your strict pull-ups better and your handstand push-ups and your 1-rep max deadlift. That stuff is fun, but it's kind of a carrot that we're dangling a little bit. Whereas with this one, it's like, this is about as good as it gets with just raw fitness. So sell it. Like, take the time to talk to your members about it, sell it a little bit. And I think the benchmarks definitely help. That's like a fun thing to kind of hang your hat on. But it's just, again, like I said, a program within a program, another version of the same thing of it's short, medium, and long. And some of them have body weight movements and weighted movements and all the good stuff. So
yeah, and I think like right on the heels of the Open is always a good time. That's a good avenue for conversation with athletes who in particular like care about not even necessarily their performance in the Open, but their improvements in fitness overall. Like, I don't know about you, Paige, I'm sure, but we had like, this last Open workout, 26.2 is like, I had a conversation with a member who was like, man, I really hope I can get like a muscle up in, because it can move me up the leaderboard so far. And it's like, you're right, for sure. Are you going to get there? Like, do we even need to worry about it? Right. It's like,
Right.
you got to get through a dumbbell that's like a little bit heavy for you. Like, if we don't have a muscle up, that does say something about gymnastics capacity, right? Gymnastics pulling capacity. Maybe there's other elements at play here as well. Like, it's the Open's always that time. It's like, I hope we get this, because it's like nobody ever said, man, I hope we get 100 bar facing burpees in this next Metcon. It's like, I really hope they just fuck us up with like a lot of burpees. It's always, I hope to see this sexy gymnastics movement that I really want to get. I want to see this heavy barbell, or I want to be able to max out a lift or something like that. And every year it's always like, oh yeah, like you get your muscle ups, like you just have to get there first. And it's
Right.
like, then when they don't get there, their tie break time is like, 14 minutes. And it's like, I understand why you want to get these sexy movements and stuff, but it's like, it's the GPP that's going to move the needle for you there. And it's like, you need to get fitter in order to like gain access to the movements, to the sexy stuff. So I think that's a good route that you could take if you've got athletes who are, think about things in terms of performance, whether it's the Open or otherwise. And then, internally, as far as like understanding the broader like idea with your coaching staff and even members in total, it's like, if every single person at a CrossFit gym was highly committed to coming 3 days on, 1 day off, 2 day on, 1 day off, and they were going to show up early, they were going to warm up, they were going to floss their hips, they're going to floss their knees, shoulders, like do all the things that they need to do, they're never going to miss a day, then it might make more sense to have a program that looks more like a Misfit Athletics competitor program, right? Where it's like, we are going to be consistent about snatching on Monday, squatting on Tuesday, gymnastics shit on Wednesday, whatever it is, and there's more consistency. The problem is like, that does not apply to most people in most situations, right? It's like, yeah, the kid was up super late and I didn't get to the gym yesterday. It's like, okay, well, you sprinkle enough of those throughout over the course of a week or a month or whatnot. And it's like, all of a sudden, this beautifully structured program that makes total sense on paper is actually just not really moving the needle very much for you in reality. GPP is like, provides that a little bit of that flexibility that the 99% of us need in the program, where it's like, okay, it's not the end of the world if I miss this day, because like, again, the entirety of the program is built to improve my overall fitness, not like this one very niche part of my fitness. So being able to communicate that to your coaches and members and say like, hey, I know you say you want to like get this thing, but it's like, you show up to class 3-4 days a week. It's like, you're not going to get the thing with that kind of commitment. It's like, I want the thing. I just don't want the work to get there. I want to be a CrossFit Games athlete, but like, man, I'm just not going to work out for 2 hours a day. Okay. Like, good luck. Like, not going to be a CrossFit Games athlete. You can't have one without the other. So just communicating to athletes like, hey, what the value in that GPP style of training is, and reminding people like what like they're actually doing in the gym, which is like improving your fitness. It's not improving your 1 rep max snatch or muscle ups. It's like, let's get fitter. Those little things will come along for the ride once they're ready.
Yeah, kind of to piggyback off that too. Like I I started remote coaching for Misfit on the competitive side back in 2020, 2021.
Sounds right.
Yeah, and then so like we would do meetings, for each phase and, try to dive deep into it, but like until I had started learning the programming and learning how you guys, you know, program and structure things, like that was when I could start actually like communicating better to my athletes as to why we're doing this or why you're doing that, or, why this fits here and this fits there. So like as the head coach at your affiliate or, the owner, like if you can take the time to really look into the affiliate programming and why the structure is the way that it is, or, really take the time to listen to the podcast, like that will just make the communication to your coaches or to your athletes just that much better. And also shows like that level of investment, again, in believing in what you're doing and being able to, I guess, represent, your affiliate in a better way.
I had a conversation with a newer gym on the Misfit affiliate program, CrossFit Falcon View in Colorado Springs. And the kind of conversation where you like feel like you're talking to your people is always fun as a coach. And I got this sense that they really understood what we were doing, what we were trying to do, the directions, that we take with Misfit affiliate. And then I've joked a little bit with Hunter and Kyle. Shout out Jess. Jess basically reads the whole program, like you just said, Paige, so that she can figure out whether she's got questions. Again, she knows how to coach the class. She knows how to sell the overall thing. And it's exciting to see that. And that's something that you can do. You can take the extra time. It doesn't take as long as you would think. You can start to see the patterns. And again, you can formulate questions. You can get ideas of like, how am I going to run this class? Or should I go into Telegram or, shoot an email to the team, that sort of thing. So it's cool that you've had that experience, Paige. And I think other people could learn from just kind of digging in a little bit deeper. And then I have to mention Hunter. Paige and I have been just the amount of GPP propaganda we've been slinging for the last like
nice.
You'd be
6
proud.
podcast episodes.
I am.
We've been going deep, and I wanted for sure. I know it's complicated with Paige because she has to do the workouts as well, but I really wanted 26.1 to be something like what it was. It's
really
like, congratulations, you got a handstand push-up. Don't fucking need it. You need to be so incredibly fit and efficient in the way that you move. You got to be able to, breathe and remain calm, and just this real basic level of. And then I love that the leaderboard is still very similar in workouts like that, because it shows you, your ability to go do 10 muscle ups at, minute 5 or 6 in 26.2 has way more to do with your GPP than it has anything to do with ring work, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it's been fun to have that there. And we just started early with the propaganda to be like, we're going to be able to say, I told you so. And it's going to be exciting. And then we have been able to, which is great.
Yeah. I think 26.2 was that. I didn't love 26.1. I'll be honest, from a programming perspective. I thought 26.2, part of it was just like, this is not very much fun. But 26.2, I think your point is like, that's the perfect point. It's like, is there an athlete out there who gets to the muscle ups in 6.5 minutes and then doesn't subsequently do the 20 muscle ups in 2 to 3 minutes? It's like,
right.
Yeah, I just blasted through everything else and I just couldn't do my 20 muscle ups in the remaining like 7 or 8 minutes. Like that, I'm sure that person is out there somewhere, but there's not that many of you.
Right.
It's like I either my tie break time was 13 minutes and change, and like maybe I get over the rings, or it was like, no, it was faster than that, and I got, I finished the workout. It's like the crossover of I did it in 7 minutes. The first half of the workout was so easy, but I am not capable of doing a muscle up. It's like that person's not really out there. It's like that
Yeah. Yep.
super fit, but not have the ability to do like a single movement. It's like, it's just not how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. And we get a fun like reminder and delivery. Like I just remember maybe like once a year, someone moving to Maine and joining our gym and wanting to be more on the competitive side. And like you see that they like go to class and realize that they have to like work their ass off. And then they're like, oh, I'm an open gym athlete now. And you just, you see them doing, muscle up EMOMs and, lifting complexes or whatever. And then they just get thrashed in the open by the people who show up and just work out hard. And it's like,
I was pretty confident in that workout too. I did fine, but like we had the like 3 rounds of 9 muscle ups, deadlift double under on Monday. And then that open workout, and I did like my muscle ups felt great. I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be like great. My muscle ups feel great. And like there's some more movement interference and whatnot that I'll expect from 26.2. And sure as shit, I got to the muscle ups and didn't feel the same as they did on Monday, surprisingly. So it was weird.
say what you
That's
will
strange.
about Mr. Castro, covert interference is a skill set that he has.
For sure. Yeah.
And one of the tricks that he has for the people out there is we often talk about how he removes fluff from workouts. So like as you progress through the year, the workouts, a lot of them get shorter and shorter. Like quarterfinals is a ton of short workouts if you're fit.
Yeah.
And so he runs interference with movements, but he also jams a shitload of movement together, which takes us all the way back to Greg's 21-15-9 couplets. Like, yeah, what's programmed here is pretty simple, and you're honestly not even really going to be like just torched once you get through what we, on the competitive side would call the buy-in before the muscle ups. But that's a lot of fucking work. It's the dumbbell is, it's a long ways to go with the dumbbell. There's a bunch of time under tension there. 40 pull-ups isn't a lot, but in the period of time that it's asked with 240 feet of lunging, like you start to think about it from that perspective. And the interference, again, isn't just like obvious muscle endurance workout. It's also large loads, long distances, that kind of thing happening in a short window.
I think that's the like what you just said. I like to do those program workouts where it's like the muscle interference or like it's the slow burn, right? It's like you said, it's in that workout where it's like none of those things in a vacuum, literally none of that workout in a vacuum is hard, like I don't want to say at all, but it's not like people are doing like you can fucking 7 overhead walking lunges, 6, 7, 8 overhead walking lunges, like not a problem. 20 dumbbell snatches, like we did 150 with burpee box jump overs, in an open workout before. 20 pull-ups, it's like nothing is difficult in a vacuum, and because of like the turnover time and the turnover speed, it's like fuck, now I'm back at that movement that 2 minutes ago wasn't that hard, and now it's like a little bit shitty. And then 2 minutes later, it's like, fuck, now I'm back at this movement, and now it's really shitty. And it's like, congratulations, like I've tricked you into doing like movements that got progressively shittier, and now here's the turn the punch bowl. And it's like, you didn't think that like your shoulders or your midline were going to be the limiting factor, but like they are. And also your heart rate's high because because the work was jammed in such a way that it's like, you're going to go back to the shitty thing soon, and it's going to continue to jack up your heart rate and make your grip blow up, your shoulders blow up, whatever it is.
And it's always, it's funny too, because it feels like hindsight, even though we know, like we already know, but 5 to 7 minutes of going hard on 3 movements, like never easy. That time domain's not fun. The mile run's not fun. The 2K row's not fun. Okay, this version of it, because it was a triplet, is a little bit easier than a single modality. By the way, now do 20 muscle ups, right? Like, so Gotta love it. Competitor extra. So we have two very different concepts going on here in this phase. We continue, when I say weekly, it's literally a week, but we continue some of the quarterfinals prep. And for athletes that have been doing the competitor extra recently, you'll see that we're doing these sprinterval versions of workouts. And the reason we're doing sprintervals inside of an affiliate program with the competitor extra is just the idea that the intensity of the workouts goes through the roof in these quarterfinals workouts. Like you go in and you do the math on it, and like over half of the workouts are short. And we spend so much time talking through pacing and breaking up movements and being, having that athlete IQ and being really thoughtful within that. And if you do that too much within some of these quarterfinals workouts, you're going to be getting a little too cute. You're going to be a little bit too smart for your own good, and you're going to lose because you don't have that same intensity that other people do. So we're basically doing these short little bursts of, typically a triplet, sometimes a couplet, where you're going really hard and then figuring out, did I go too hard? Did I leave something on the table? Was I right in that spot that I'm looking for? And then you have an opportunity to try kind of a different thing there. That prep goes into quarterfinals, and I'm going to send a PDF out to you guys for quarterfinals for all of your athletes via email that just basically gives you like, what should it look like that week? How can they get themselves ready to go and do this? And like, if they're trying to get to online semifinals or age group semifinals, you'd follow that to a T with the schedule. If they qualify and they're having a good time, that's when there's some leeway there and they can just jump into class, at least Monday, if not Monday and Tuesday, and then just do quarterfinals like Thursday through Monday, something like that. After that, the theme of competitor extras will be very much based on like off-season style. For most people at an affiliate, after quarterfinals is we reset and then we're going back around, all the way back around to the open. So it'll be a little bit more weakness work. It's going to be pretty obvious when you see it, but it's like, I'm trying to get better, at this lift, or I'm trying to get better at this machine, or I'm trying to get better at this gymnastics movement. And what I would encourage people to do in the off season is to be more selective with the competitor extra, do it less often, and put more eggs into the basket of the specific day. So go into the weakness work. If you suck at rowing or running or whatever, get out there and get that done. But if you're really great at it, there's potentially, I'm not as good at this lift or this gymnastics movement. Take more time and energy and intensity and focus to work on the things that you need to, versus I'm the volume monster, because at this point in the year, that's not really that helpful if the intensity and the focus isn't there.
Yeah, only thing I'll add to like the workouts going into, especially over the next couple weeks leading into quarterfinals, it's always fun. Like, I don't know if you've gotten any messages or whatever, like at how exceptional we are at predicting open workouts, because during that week they did like 5 reps of a movement that popped up last. It was funny.
You are 2 for 2, Hunter. You had one wall balls and lunges, right?
I feel like I got a decent chance of going 3 for 3 with like deadlift as the primer day, heavy overhead squat today. Like I don't know. I'm feeling like it's like a shitty
clean sweep
snatch burpee sort of metcon or something like that. But yeah, people are like, you did wall balls and the last week, and then we had wall balls, and then this week it was you did body weight lunges, and then we did overhead lunges. And I was like, I know it's fucking crazy. I got a line to Castro. I know it. But it's like, get back to the original point. It was like the quarterfinal stuff. It's like modeled after things that we know are coming. The reason that we are good at predicting movements in the open is because it's like, it's a very similar movement list. Do 2 or 3 movements a day. Like, I'm going to hit at least one of the movements that you're probably going to see in an open workout. And quarterfinals are no different. And it's more just like, hey, we want to prepare you for like the things that we know are probable. And like, again, just like the best way to look at that is like, well, what's come before it? It's like the sprinterval. It's like, it's always a shitty short workout to finish quarterfinals that maybe that determines where you shake out on the leaderboard, or, there's always that long, shitty cardio piece. And it's like, well, better be ready for this. So here it is. Wow, surprise, it looks similar to something else.
We learned how to predict the workouts by not doing that. early on when you
Yeah, true.
try to guess, when you're like, okay, well, they did this year, so we're just going to peak the snatch because they're definitely going to do snatch, or we're going to peak the clean and jerk instead, or we're going to program this because this is shown up already, so now it's going to be this. When you zoom out, the list is still short enough to rely on variance with rotating those movements through. So we literally stopped trying to guess 10 years ago, and it made it so that we are able to guess what the workouts are. I don't know if that makes sense, but that is exactly how it is. It's like, okay, I think I know how it's going to go. And Castro back then was like, oh, you think you know how I'm going to program? Like 2013 regionals, like it wasn't any weights. It was like body weight regionals, basically.
Dumbbell
Open, like things of that nature. So if you want a programming tip for competitive work, don't try to guess and just put it through a rotation and you'll be fine.
Let's do constantly varied functional movement.
Okay, so I am going to, so we have the engine programming that you guys receive as a free add-on here. We'll plug the day 3 as becoming your Sunday class. And that is Sunday engine class at Misfit Gym Portland. I know some other gyms out there do that. And essentially we're following kind of a similar concept with engine, but because there aren't a ton of benchmarks related to that style of program, they are from our own archives, basically. So day 1 and day 2 of the engine program, which is 3 days a week, are going to be primarily workouts that have been done in the past that are particularly special. The kind of workout where it's like the talk of the town for a few days after you do it. So day 1 and day 2 are going to be workouts where we know the stimulus.
Sandbag.
Yeah, know the stimulus is extra special there. And then I will read what Chris, who writes the program, said about Sunday. So Sunday remaining the standard mixture of generally longer workouts with no barbells and limited overhead movement / rig gymnastics. The last few weeks of this phase incorporate an intentional increase in pull-up and push-up volume as part of this year's Murph prep, which will begin in earnest in at least a few weeks at the start of the next phase. So basically, because of the timing, we will end with some Murph prep in the engine program, and then that will transition us into the next phase, which we'll continue to do so. Final thoughts on the Rushmore phase. Anyone? Everyone?
And we got two consecutive days that the bay doors open. Running season is pending. I don't want to say it's upon us. Yeah,
you got 6 more false winters coming in.
Strangely enough, there's a lot of snow still on the fairway. All the grass is starting to show up. There's still a lot of snow on the big old flat grass field that is the fairway.
Yeah, we can't forget to do live chat.
I think it'll be a good time. I think it'll be a fun phase. The benchmarks are always fun. At one point, I was like, should we always do it on Monday? Should we always do them on Friday? And I settled on the middle, and they kind of get sprinkled throughout the week.
Yeah.
And I think that's the right move. But I think it'll be a fun phase. Anytime that there's a little less stress about, they were working on this very specific thing over the course of a phase, and then people get either disappointed that they didn't improve the way they thought they did, or whatever it happens to be. I think anytime a phase releases that tension a little bit and is some fun benchmarks, come in, do them. You miss one, that's okay. There's going to be another one. I think it'll make for a fun post-open phase.
Yeah, we talk about intensity is freedom within the competitive side of Misfit. This is kind of that phase where you get to bring intensity in a lot of different ways. Your focus on your handstand walk skill or your intensity in your benchmarks. And I think that is fun. I think that's exciting because there are days where you get to not slow it down, but again, take work on a skill outside of a intense setting, environment. And then there are days where you get to, go and send it. So I like the variety that you get here, and you could kind of take that pressure off being post open and just go in and get after it.
Yeah, I think it's really fun. So when we get into the next phase, the next podcast that we do, we'll be talking about your strict gymnastics and maybe your deadlift and or your bench press, that kind of thing. And the micro concepts that we're working on within those phases are exciting as a coach and a programmer. but the macro concept, the thing that we're trying to accomplish over a long period of time, to bring it back to the beginning of the episode, needs to be at the forefront for us on a regular basis, because it is the only actual secret that we have, is going short, medium, and long and doing couplets and triplets and some monostructural and having some weightlifting days in there and doing all of that. That's the only secret that we actually have. And we know how to get people better at a specific thing in a short period of time, and that's fun. But that's not necessarily what we're trying to do, especially at the affiliate level. So I like the idea of the times of year where we can zoom out and really hammer home what we're trying to accomplish on a like grander scale. I will open live chat, asking for thoughts and prayers. I am going to be taking a toddler snowboarding in the next week or two. So the snowboard that I bought has like a pull leash on the front of it, like a retractable leash. So we've been snowboarding around the house. You're supposed to do that, and you're supposed to do it, well, you're supposed to do it on snow, on flat ground, but it's going to be 68 degrees here today, so that shit's not happening. And originally, Burton makes a handlebar so that they don't have to be strapped in. So these two plates are screwed down into the snowboard, and then you basically just have a handlebar that's like offset, so you can stand on it and hold on. That way, like when you take a toddler snowboarding, you go up the magic carpet thing, where it's like, you know, it's an incline like this, and then you get off and do that. Because I have heard with skiing and snowboarding, the idea of them being locked into something they don't love.
Yeah.
That sort of deal. So but it's sold out everywhere. Can't buy it anywhere. Don't have the luxury of aero heating and ventilating making me one anymore, being at home. So I was going to try to make one, but I gotta find an electrician who can bend up some conduit for me and weld it to my plates and all that. So I went ahead and bought bindings and boots. The boots aren't in yet, but we have been using the bindings at home. And I'm just hammering it. I'm like, dude, anytime you want to get out of these, you just tell me and I will do it. Because he just falls over and he's like, get me out of this. It seems like he's having the best time. And then he does not want to be in it anymore. Right. And he's leaning back a little too much for my sanity. He's really feels like he's got to lean backwards. And that's not one of the tips and tricks for snowboarding. So yeah,
do his boots kind of kick him forward, right? Because that's how those are designed, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Forward a little bit.
I don't know that on the Grom bindings that you can do that you can make the plate push more in this direction.
Yeah.
But there's little tricks. You're supposed to have both of their bindings angled forward, actually.
Okay.
So that their hips are turned, because kids if their hips are facing this way, they want to face in that direction.
Right. Yeah.
Which that obviously won't go well. So the question really is whether I can snowboard behind him and hold on to him.
Yeah, I was going to say,
both of us eating
the retractable leash is you're on your board, he's on his board, and you've just got him. He's like a kid at the mall, parents walking around with a leash and a backpack.
No, that won't work. The leash is more for flat ground. So I'll pull him around when we get to the mountain on the snow. But once we get up there,
stationary.
Okay.
I see.
Right,
yeah.
Because you can't dictate his speed and your speed if you're just holding onto a leash, that kind of thing.
Right.
If I stop, he's going to crash into me. If I go fast, I'm going to pull him and he's going to hate it. So I'm going to be snowboarding, holding on to him, hands under his armpits, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I did buy the Meta glasses.
Coming?
Yeah, she'll watch.
Okay.
But I bought the Meta glasses so that I can record it. So I can be like, hey, Meta, record this. And I'm going to have the first person view.
That's pretty
I've wanted to get them for a little while. I hate the idea of Big Brother watching me because now you're literally showing them your field of view. So not only can they hear you, but they can see everything you're doing. But with kids, the phone or the camera always takes them out of the thing. They either perform for it or don't want it. It's just it's why are you, we're having fun and you just stopped having fun with me and stuck your phone in my face, that kind of thing. So I want it and I'll hopefully be able to hide the glasses otherwise. Although who knows, Zuckerberg can probably see through the case and like out into my world and follow me no matter what. So maybe I should just give up.
I was gonna say, like, you can already see everything you can see. In
Yeah, he's
phone
literally
and your
they're
computer.
fucking
He's
watching me right
literally
now.
watching this podcast right now, trying to figure
Damn
out
it.
26.3.
Yeah. All right. I had a long-winded but very important life chat. What do you guys got?
Mine's
Anything,
quick.
Paige?
Yeah, mine's quick. I mean, not too much going on here, but I'll go home this weekend. A friend came in. She is from here. Her brother's the one that owns a gym. She came in for her birthday weekend this weekend. So filling my cup socially with some friends. Loving
There you
it.
go.
Yeah.
Great.
Nice. Yeah, life chat, man. Like lots of it has been going on, but nothing has been going on. All right, so hear me out. I've been on the wait list at Riverside Golf Course, which is the golf course that I'm looking directly out my window at right now for a couple of years. Presumably because it's a pretty affordable municipal golf course. It's nothing particularly special, but I'm on the wait list for a couple of years. I needed to commit to the golf course that I've been a member at actively for the last couple of years, none such. In order to like lock in my membership, I needed to like, are you going to renew or not in like December? I had not received a phone call from Riverside. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to go without a golf membership for next summer. So I continue my membership at None Such next year. And then at the end of January, got a phone call from Riverside that says, we have a membership for you. Like you have until this day at this time to accept it because they got a wait list and, you know, whatever. So now I have 2 memberships.
Yeah.
I don't see a problem.
To be fair, what I explained the situation and I was like, listen, I work directly across the street, but I already committed to another course because like, well, I didn't know if you guys were going to call me or not. I wasn't going to be without a membership. So we opted for the cheapest Monday through Friday only option at the South course, the 9-hole course. So now that can be my like, I got an hour and I didn't know exactly how much busier I was going to be as an affiliate owner this year than last year, for example. But like you inevitably find an hour or two in the middle of the day when you got a slow day or something. And it'd be like, wow, it'd be cool to be able to like walk across the street and do some golf practice instead of saying like, do I actually have the time to drive 20 minutes down to my home course, play, and then drive 20 minutes back? So decided that the most economical and efficient option was to in fact have options at both locations so that midweek we can get a little pracky in the middle of the day when things are slow, hop over to the old 9-hole course and then play the weekends and
You
got to
find a way for that to be
course.
a tax write-off. There's a way. There's a lot of companies are out there.
I asked multiple people about the
going by yourself,
is this a
being a
business
tax
write-off thing? Is this like what?
Yeah.
How do I make this? How do I make myself not pay for this? No, I foot the bill, so
Yeah.
we'll see what that looks like. But it was the least expensive option, and now that I have it, I'm fully like responsible for ensuring that it was a fiscally responsible decision.
Yeah, you got to get
now
after it.
I need to play a lot at both courses, maybe more than I did last year, maybe more than I've done in the last 2 years combined. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the
Nice.
move,
But
for sure.
yeah.
I might end up with 2 different snowboarding passes.
See, it's
Powderhorn, a local small mountain, dropped a 3 years for $999, which is a crazy deal.
That's pretty good. I don't know much about that, but that seems good.
You can go as much as you want. I think I'd have to go 9 times over 3 years total for it to yeah.
How far is the drive for you?
It's like 40 minutes.
It's not bad at all.
Yeah. It's a pretty easy drive. So, but then you get in the emails about the Epic Pass and the Icon Pass, and I got to do some math on like, okay, and it's actually is the same thing. It's like, do you want the one with the blackout dates or not the blackout dates? And I prefer to just go to places like that on weekdays anyways, so I don't have to wait and like crazy lift lines and shit like that. So I think I'm potentially going to be as fiscally responsible as you, Hunter, related to my snowboarding habit. Yeah.
And then, well, yeah. And now you have to snowboard Otherwise,
Exactly.
like, Maya, this is a huge waste
Maya, I
of
don't
money.
even want to go. I have to.
I don't want to go.
Okay.
That really is
Hear
what
me
it
out
comes
though.
down
Hear me
to.
out though. Somehow you save money when you're buying, when you go shopping and it's on sale. That's the thing I get from her. I had
Right.
to. I mean, it was like
It was
80%
on
She's
sale.
always
off.
justified.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I do know
Always.
that, Paige. I'm aware. I'm aware of how
Just supporting Maya, that's all.
how this whole system works. She says, "What's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine," is one of her
Yeah.
sayings. So I'm not a stranger. One, I'll give some relationship advice to people out there. You spend the first couple years of marriage arguing over the dumb shit that your spouse spends money on until you realize that you both do it. And then you just like, unless someone's like, I don't know, like a fucking gambling addict or a psychopath, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
It's like,
You're both idiots.
hey, I don't know what DraftKings.com is. I don't know what that is on the bill. I've never seen that before. And, it really costs that much to get your hair and nails done. Whatever, man.
Yeah.
All the people out there that are still fighting about it,
Whatever.
let it go. You're all crazy. We're all crazy. You just, that's just how it is. What a way to end the show.
That was
Yeah, well,
fantastic.
That's beautiful. All right. Did we do it?
We did it.
Thank you for tuning into another episode of the Misfit podcast. Make sure that you head to the link in bio on our Instagram or teammisfit.com. You can get a 2-week free trial of Rushmore, which starts on Monday, March 16th, coming up real fast on Sugar Wad, Stream Fit, or Push Press. Or if you'd like to see the PDF version, email me directly, coach@misfitathletics.com. Also happy to do a call with any gyms out there getting ready to execute this phase. That's already subscribed or wants to chat about potentially joining, just again, shoot me an email, coach@misfitathletics.com. Thank you to Gorilla Mind for sponsoring the show and giving me unmatched energy, amplified focus, enhanced concentration, increased productivity, and elevated mental clarity with no sugar or artificial colors. I just read that off the back of the can, gorillamind.com/misfit, or just use the code word misfit at checkout. You save on your order and you support the podcast. See you guys next week.
Later.
Misfits.
All right, you ragtag bunch of misfits.
You're a scrappy little misfit, just like me.
Biggest bunch of misfits I ever set eyes on.